Bum, 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 bum. Good evening and welcome to your Monday evening Chat Pack podcast. I'm one of your anchors, Paul Holden. Joined alongside me is Ben Colvin. He'll bring you the news of interest here in just a little bit. All right, we're going to kick it to our man in the field, Trevor Heim. Trevor, what's the scene out there?
Paul, it's pretty ugly. I people are going down left and right. I don't know what to do.
Now, Trevor is out at the puppy picnic, and the puppies are out there seemingly attacking people, but I'm hearing some reports of actually just some wanting cuddles. Trevor, what are you seeing out there?
Yeah, Paul, I think those reports could be right. There's no teeth involved. There's just a lot of tongue. So they're just taking people down with tongue.
Let's remind you, Trevor, that this is a family program and to keep such ridiculous things to yourself, because this is the Chat Pack Podcast, where we talk about this, that, and the other thing. Caleb's still on vacation. Power play team in effect for probably like the 9th week in a row. Joined to my right, Ben Colvin. Hey, hi, ho there. Why did I go on a rant like that? That's because I forgot which greeting I was going to say to you.
Hey, hi, ho there to you too, Paul.
Thank you, Ben. And, of course, all the way across the country, the man
On
behind
your
the glass,
left.
Trevor. I'm going to imagine you're on my left. I got
Perfect.
a swirly chair. I could do a lot of swirling, but I need to lean over towards the mic here. But
Also, Paul, what's not family friendly about puppy licks? I'm really confused.
take them down with tongue, Trevor. Let's just start.
You're putting words in my
there.
mouth, Paul. I don't think that's what I was
I
saying.
am not. It's actually, Trevor, you recorded those words, so people are actually going to be able to listen to that. And in fact,
we record this.
Unfortunately. Anyway, Chat Pack Podcast, where we talk about this, that, and the other things. We got some topics to talk about today. Trevor, what have you been up to, man? Have you seen anything? You see the new Quentin Tarantino? What have you done in the pop culture world?
What have I done in the pop culture world? Actually, on that note, before we get into it a little too much, I have a minor correction on our previous episode here. One of our fans pointed out...
Minor correction.
I'm still working on the soundboard. We'll get that figured out.
I got it.
No, one of our wonderful fans pointed out that you were talking about Once Upon a Time in Hollywood last episode, and you said that Marilyn Manson was in it, who is not in that movie. That movie actually has Charles Manson in it. Marilyn Manson is that, sort of crazy metal rock star, whereas Charles Manson is a deranged murderer. So, bit of a confusion there.
Potato.
Yeah, I mean, you're
like
Manson, my Manson.
me.
We're all Mansons on this fine day.
I don't think we all want to be Mansons, but I definitely want to go see that movie. I think I'm waiting until my lovely
I want to see that movie too.
girlfriend is
I'm
coming
stoked for it.
to visit next week. I probably should remember that, considering I'm picking her up on Sunday. Knocked it out of the park. I think I mentioned it last time. She's not at the airport. She flew. She'd be sitting at home. She flew into Cincy. She's been in the great 22nd state, Ohio.
22nd.
What?
Is that an order of they're founded?
When
Hang on, no, go back. I gotta see the bars. I'm trying to be louder than
I
Paul
know.
this
Hold on.
episode.
Yeah, speak
I don't think it's
directly into the microphone.
I'm already good. I'm getting hoarse.
Stop shouting at me.
My name.
Am I
Oh.
actually 13.
17th.
Wait, it says 13.
Ohio was the 17th
17th.
state admitted to the union. So I was like,
You're close.
in the margin of error.
Yeah. It's like horseshoes.
Ben's been drawing a lot of boxes lately.
Really?
Ben, tell the people about what you've been training, what you're preparing to do.
I've been drawing butts.
He draws a lot of butts.
Like an unhealthy amount of butts. He just draws
Why
butts.
are you drawing butts?
Well, if you want to do commercial art, you have to be really good at drawing the human body.
So commercial art, what is that? What all does this entail? So are you going to be your hopeful career is to be creating artwork for textbooks and things like that? And is it just in science and biology, or is it going to be for like, are you going to draw those really cheesy like graphics of like a kid skinned his knee and his mom is there and she's just like,
see, I have to capture the emotion of a skinned knee concerned mom and convey that to the viewer. But commercial art is if you're selling a product or it has a functional, use in society. So it could be like a lawyer needs to explain to a jury what is going on with some healthcare suit. He needs a graphic. Calls Colvin.
Cole Colvin.
Or a pharmaceutical company wants to advertise their drug. They need a cool graphic. Call Colvin.
So if you want to have Ben become a big pharma shill, just
call Colvin.
Already am.
There you go, Ben Colvin.
Zeklerite.
Already a big corporate shill. So big pharma shill. So direct your comments and concerns to bigpharma@gmail.com. For all your questions and concerns regarding big pharma.
Call Colvin.
You think they're going to shut us down?
Big Pharma?
Yeah.
No, I'm employee of.
I guess that's true.
They like being called big. They would be mad if we called them small pharma.
Small pharma?
Small
that sounds
pharma.
like I just said smells. That's what my
smelly pharma.
He who smelt pharma.
Work drained me today. It wasn't even that hard, but scooped a lot of cream cheese. God, that does not sound any form of exciting or cool.
Do you have an ice cream scooper, right?
Big ice cream scoop, 8 ounces, 0.5 ounce margin of error, so 7.5 or 7.95, 805. It's an art, Ben. You're creating art. I'm scooping art. You know what I mean? It's sometimes
you could have a display in a fine art museum.
I could of my cream cheeses stacked up. My different flavors and variety. Clearly,
Do you ever get to invent any new flavors?
No, but I could try. But, dude, I will tell you this, man. I never thought I would deal with as much cream cheese in my entire life. And you get over it. I mean, cream cheese is still good, but like scooping cream cheese and then just mixing cream cheese. I just get in there. Like I got to cut a bunch of chives up and then I get a big vat of cream cheese and I plop them on and then I just mix it all up in there after cutting the chives
How do you
up.
mix it?
Hand.
You just stick your hand into the cream cheese?
Yeah, put some gloves on and then just
his unclean hands. Doesn't even put any gloves.
No.
Shoves them in the cream cheese.
I am Chicago Serve Safe certified. Let me tell you. And I wash my hands and change my gloves regularly.
What's regular? Like
in between everything.
Oh, okay.
In between beard scratches.
I know what I got to do.
If you go and grab the capers, is it capers?
We do have capers, but I don't really grab capers. Yeah,
okay.
Chives.
And you put them in the cream cheese. Do you swap gloves then? Or is it...
If I chopped the chives and then I'm going into the cream cheese for first, then yes. But if I'm going cream cheese and you have to change them after scooping them too. But it's that I don't want to get...
So those are...
I don't want to scoop... I don't want to get a lot like the chive taste in the large vat of the plain cream cheese, with my gloves. So you can't do that. But...
are those plastic gloves?
Oh, yeah. It's terrible.
So you probably have like a giant hamper of...
Oh, yeah. I go through so many gloves a day. It's very wasteful. They need to make biodegradable cooking gloves so we can continue to be sanitary and safe, but not just throwing away so much shit.
I'm actually kind of surprised that wouldn't already exist.
You'd think that there would be alternatives for a lot of the things if with how much we should take climate stuff seriously, but here we are, Trevor. Here we are.
Just killing our climate.
Killing the climate. Speaking of killing the climate, did you get out racing this weekend? Past weekend? Are you going racing this weekend?
Maybe. I'm not sure yet. I actually have not seen
that there's a new event. What's the highest you've ever finished?
Racing?
Yeah, have you won?
It's class based, so
Did
they.
you win your class?
I've never really won.
Are you
Anything.
tops in the class?
Am I top what?
Tops in the class.
Yeah, I mean I'm middle of the road.
So you're not cum laude or pseudo cum laude or valedictorian.
Trevor drives in the middle of the road.
I'm sort of a salutatorian driver.
Salutatorian.
Salutatorian.
What is that?
The second valedictorian.
Isn't that second place?
I was
Salutatorian.
homeschooled.
You went to high school.
I was a valedictorian. My class.
That's actually. Were you? Were you better than your brother?
My brother graduated 2 years ahead of me, so.
In case you're picking up that faint ice cream, that's very distracting. It makes me want ice cream. You said sweet treat before this, and then we got the ice cream man out front. How's the weather? Has it been crazy hot this summer for you, Trevor?
Yeah, it's been pretty hot until like the last week or so. It's gotten a little cooler, and it's been kind of rainy, which is sort of weird for the desert.
Right. It's very mild lately, but I saw my first tree with changing colors yesterday, actually. Already, and it's like a lot of them already. August 1st.
So I've heard that in some places, like in Alaska and things like that, there's like areas where it's been so unseasonably warm that it's now cooled off to what would normally be like an average temperature for this time of the year. But because it was so hot leading up to this, a bunch of the trees and things think that we're now going into the fall, and they're like changing colors and stuff.
That's not a good sign.
Yeah,
but
kind of crazy.
On a lighter note, your girlfriend's pictures of Alaska looked insane.
Oh yeah,
insane that's real.
She had a blast. Like, I'm definitely gonna have to make her take me up there sometime.
Well, yeah, now you got to go. I feel like Alaska is definitely one of the cooler places you can go adventuring. Well, we've gabbed around a little bit here, we got Ben here. Ben's got a topic. Ben's got an emergency. All right, we are breaking news. This just in, Trevor. This just in. We got breaking news here from Chat Pack correspondent Ben Colvin here. Ben, what's the situation on the scene?
So last night we were going to record the podcast, and Trevor was late by half an hour because he had to do things with his girlfriend. Apparently, they were going to have a fun night out on the town.
It was Wednesday, by the way. What is this, Wednesday night date extravaganza?
What did you do that was more fun than hanging out with your chat pack?
So I don't think that fun night out on the town was ever mentioned.
It was something along the lines of Amanda has a lot of other things planned. That sounds like a fun night on the plan because it started with Amanda and I are going to go eat. What did you guys go do? Errands at like 7 o'clock at night? I highly doubt it.
Actually, we kind of did run errands. No, I think mostly that text was just me being grumpy and blowing off some steam. But no, I got home and we both were pretty hungry, and I was like, we'll just do the podcast real quick, and then I will make dinner. But then I was like, nope, too hungry for that. So we decided to just get takeout from this wing place that's near us that we like. So we got wings and we ate, and then we felt better and we weren't hangry anymore. And then we ended up running some errands because we had to go get some groceries, and then we took the dogs for a run and to play. Which, speaking of the dogs, my puppy, Faye, she went and got... do girl dogs get neutered? Spayed. Man, I had a 50-50 shot and I guessed wrong. So she went and got spayed today. And so she's doing well now, but she's kind of out of it, and she's got the big cone on her head, and it's pretty sad. But
she got a tattoo?
Maybe. Did they get a tattoo?
They usually tattoo the dog to show where the incision was. Like if you look at Dot, where's she?
She's just chilling.
She's chilling?
Sleeping.
Dude, okay, so Trevor, we have this lazy boy recliner, and I swear to God, she spends, I'm pretty sure, like 75% of her time in there. She's always in there. But yeah, there's her belly is covered in black spots, but there's a black line that shows. So it's that way, like so your vet can look, and then right away they'll know that your dog's been fixed.
Dang.
Because obviously, if you're looking at a boy dog, you can kind of tell pretty quickly.
Why is that,
if they've
Paul?
been fixed
No, I'm just kidding.
They removed the testicles, Trevor.
Ew, Paul.
Ben, what's the biological ramifications if we did that for people?
Testicles?
Yeah.
No more semen.
No more semen. That's it?
Well, so with dogs, I know that if you do it like too soon or too late, it has like effects on their like testosterone and like hormone levels and like the aggressiveness and things like that.
It's a major producer of testosterone.
Yeah.
So you also need that for that.
Same.
Dang, I'm so quiet again. Gosh darn it. All right.
Well,
I'm trying to compete with Paul. It's not working at all.
All right. Okay. So, Trevor, you remember that quarter game that we talked to you about on Netflix? Did you end up watching it?
You stay up for 24 hours. I did not end up watching that, actually. I'm sorry.
Who the hell do you think you are?
I know. You gave me homework, and I failed. I'll be better next time.
You go. But one of the games was they brought in a sound booth, and then they told everyone to scream as loud as they possibly can. And I just looked at it, and I said it. I was like, there's never been a game show game more designed for me. Like, I wouldn't matter if I was awake for 24 hours. Are you kidding me? I think
it would help, actually. I think I would yell louder if I'd been asleep or awake for so long.
It definitely would have been just one of those, like, Snapchat screams when it's everyone just yelling. That's all it would have did. You got to start low.
I've seen you.
I wish I could turn my mic down really low and then give a demonstration of this, but I'm not gonna subject anyone to that.
We don't need to do that.
Everyone gets to deal with that enough in person, but I don't know why I thought of that, but
I feel like that is a game that was definitely designed for you to excel at.
Oh, dude, I would crush it. If I lost that game, I think I'd have to just become a mute.
Yeah, you wouldn't be allowed to yell ever again.
No one would take my yelling cred seriously. Oh, actually, speaking of my things not being taken seriously, you guys were supposed to evict me today, but yet
in fact, actually, everybody else left.
Basically. Yeah, exactly.
Went in reverse.
So
Wait,
I win.
Why were you being evicted?
He smells like ketchup.
No, because they don't appreciate and value my sense of humor and wonderful jokes.
Every time it's been really hot here. Oh, hey, it's really hot out. What do you say?
I'll try and tone it down.
I'm sick of it.
Yes,
right.
Trevor. It's still alive and well, baby.
I haven't lived with you in 2-ish years now, and you used to make the exact same jokes when we lived together 2 years ago. So you've come a long way, Holden.
I'm living with my high school, friends, and they're still pissed off because I'm still doing it from high school.
Oh, I got a question for you.
How'd I get this good looking? I don't know. I was born with it.
I have to give you props on your consistency.
Consistency, Trevor, is key. That's what they tell you is the secret sauce to success. And, sometimes the best part about those jokes is because sometimes I still get a laugh out of people and they hate the fact that they laughed at it. So they just get frustrated that they even gave it some form of a positive interaction.
The last time that happened was 2014.
No, you'd be surprised, Colvin. You'd be surprised. Okay, you guys got topics? I feel like I've been blabbing
I
here.
got some stuff to talk about.
Okay, should we start with Trevor or Ben? I'm letting you two decide.
Trevor.
Oh, you two are so modest. Look at my little gentleman, raised so right.
I want to close it out.
So. Okay, Ben wants to close it out. Trevor?
All right, Ben's our closer today. So I'm kind of surprised that we didn't talk about this on the last episode, given when we recorded, but there is a new Chance the Rapper album.
And it's not getting well reviewed at all.
Yeah,
at least from what I've seen.
Well, so I was surprised. I'm surprised at how long it is. It's very long. I think it's it's definitely his longest album, and it's like a pretty long album just as far as like albums go.
Yeah. I listened, I didn't actively listen to it. I listened while I was reading on the porch, and so I was kind of way more invested in what I was reading, but Nothing. Oh, nothing seemed to really jump out at me while I was listening to it. Nothing really caught my ear that made me like really want to like tune in. I've seen some people really like it, but in terms of critical reception, I have not heard a lot of positive feedback.
I think the first handful of songs I thought were pretty good, and then it started to kind of take a turn for me. But I will say that the one song, I think it's called Hot Shower. Hot Shower. That song, I can definitely hear them like blasting it in every bar in Athens.
Yeah, actually, that was one of like two that I remember from listening, because I listened to it and like a bunch just kind of went by and I like didn't even notice them. That's how it felt to me. Like I didn't notice the music. I did like he sampled like some. I think it's supposed to be his dad or a relative in the middle there, and he had like a nice long monologue. I like that song that came with that one.
You talking about Uncle Ruckus? Not Uncle Ruckus. Grandpa?
Yeah, it was Grandpa, the actor.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
That does that monologue? Yeah, it's definitely not his dad. It's definitely. There's also he samples Navi does the Hey from Ocarina of Time that has been sampled to death. I can't remember what song it's in. It's in that. But I was actually going to bring up Grandpa from the Boondocks, because that was the part that really was like, wait a minute, what's going on here?
Got my attention, because I kind of just tuned out the album and then I kind of came back for it.
That's when that first monologue hit, I was like, Granddad? And it like and it's totally that actor. But then the second monologue hits and I was like, I know this voice, and where do I know it from? And it's the guy who plays the president in Rick and Morty.
Oh,
he's the second monologue, I think.
Keith David.
Yeah.
Keith David?
Keith
David.
Something like that.
Because he's the president. He's in Saints Row the Third too, and they're like Keith David. Talking about Keith David, I remember that. But I'm driving to pick up Ava, so I think I'm gonna actually like sit and listen to it on the car ride this weekend.
Yeah, but
I don't know. It came and I wasn't, I didn't get excited about it because Coloring Book is good, but man, like now that 10 Day and Acid Rap are on Spotify, it's just like. You just go back and listen to those, and it's you can definitely tell like chances that class like definitely a tale of two artists there. It's definitely Acid Rap and 10 Day, and then Coloring Book and The Big Day. Very different in my opinion, at least from because like but obviously two way different stages of his life as well. Yeah,
well, and I feel like you can kind of tell. Like I think Acid Rap will always be like my favorite album. But Coloring Book is good, but I feel like you can really tell that he had that influence of like he was working with some bigger name artists. He was working with Kanye and stuff like that.
You can tell he was working with Kanye, I think, with Coloring Book. Kanye or Coloring Book and Life of Pablo are very similar.
Yeah. And then I feel like the Big Day now, it actually, there's some songs on it that remind me a lot of like old Kid Cudi, which I was kind of surprised by.
Dude, Kid Cudi, Man on the Moon 3 is supposed to be coming out. And speaking of same thing with like older albums, like Man on the Moon 1 will probably also forever be like basically a masterpiece, in my opinion. Like and in revisiting some of Kid Cudi's stuff and especially Kid See Ghost, he definitely I think got too much flack, but that Kid Cudi's awesome, man. Man on the Moon and Man on the Moon 2 are phenomenal albums, especially when you need to think on.
Is Kid See Ghost the album where it has that fantastic Kanye feature where he's just like
I think so, because I think a lot of the album is him and Kanye. Like I think Kid See Ghost is a project, but with the two of them, I think that's the whole.
Yeah, no, it totally was. It was like combined effort of the two of them. But that one song is just bizarre.
I gotta get Kid Cudi on Groovy Soup.
Yeah,
where's he from?
Or maybe Cleveland. Chance. Dude, you're in Chicago. Get Chance on Groovy Soup.
But that's Chicago, not Ohio.
Oh yeah, Groovy Soup is Ohio.
For now, you figure out how to like.
We need to expand
the brand. I do. I need to get hired by a fucking radio station. Probably shouldn't say fucking radio station on some, but I'll stand by it.
So one of you fucking radio stations out there, hire Paul right now.
If a radio station listened 26 minutes into this podcast and they that's what turned them away from it, that no way. But
so
if you're out there, be a great on-air talent for your station. Let me know. I can also make commercials.
That actually reminds me of a funny thought.
NPR looked at my LinkedIn profile the other day. So
there you go.
So
well, Paul, are you looking at NPR?
Dude, I would love to work for NPR, but I'd like to work for NPR in a different thing because I want to let the talented journalists and people actually doing good stuff also continue to do that stuff. That's my big thing with like getting out of school is like I don't want to be a journalist, and it's not because of fake news media or blah blah blah. It's because I respect the hell out of people who actually go and do real journalism and go and tell important and intense stories. I want to be a storyteller. Like I want to be the feature guy. I want to be entertainment, but I want to tell stories that have substance, but also with stuff I can actually speak on. I'm not, the Democratic debate was last night, and I'm not going to be able to go on and.
For real?
Yeah, there was 2 of them. There were 2 nights of it.
Nice, Ben.
Who won?
No one, because there's still 22 candidates.
America won.
It came down to a fist fight between Bernie and no.
Bernie and Biden.
Whose heart medicine gives out first?
Ooh, that was a sick burn.
Anyway, yeah. Those were my thoughts.
What were we talking about?
Chance the Rapper.
I had a thought.
Chance the Rapper. That's what we were saying.
No, there's something in the middle there. I had an insightful thing, but I've lost it.
Anyway, what you said you had other stuff to talk about, Trevor. What else is?
Yeah,
chugging along in there.
Well, actually, you made me think of a kind of a related point. You were talking about if a prospective radio station happened to listen to this so far, and that was their like hiring decision. We actually at work recently, we've got an open position on my team, and so we've been interviewing several different candidates to try to fill that position, and we had. There was someone that applied, and on her resume she listed like her portfolio site and her LinkedIn and her Facebook like URL. And so we went to her Facebook and we were just like basically stalking her Facebook, which was kind of funny. And she had this picture from like semi recently that was of her and Chris Evans, which is Captain America, for those who don't know. But we were all like, oh my gosh, she got a picture with Chris Evans. So then she comes in for an interview. And the whole time I was like, are we allowed to bring up the picture of Chris Evans? Because then she would know that we dug pretty deep into her Facebook. And it would like give away the game. But also I really wanted to hear the story of like how she ended up, getting a picture with Chris Evans. But
so is that helpful, looking at her Facebook actually? Like for making a decision?
So it kind of depends, but it's an interesting piece of our job is that one of the things that we're looking for is like detail-orientedness, and then kind of like technical ability, or not even technical ability, but like learning ability. Like if you're kind of a quick learner, you can pick things up that are more technically inclined. So sometimes we've gone and we've looked at people's like LinkedIn profiles or, whatever they share with us or we find on them. And, for example, LinkedIn, if we go on there and like, there's all sorts of like typos or like they've mixed up some sentences and like their little descriptions of things and whatever, or it's just generally kind of disorganized. We're like, yeah, we're not really sure this person would be a good fit because they obviously like this is something they've created that should be like a professional forward facing thing, and they haven't really taken the time to like clean up some of these little small like spelling errors and things like that. And sure, like we're all human and mistakes happen, but like if it's just really obvious, it's like, man, this person didn't do so hot at like just checking over their own work. So who says they're going to be able to do that when they're working for us, kind of a thing. So it's kind of interesting, but again, we give the person a chance, and we meet with them and talk with them and hear their side of things, and sometimes that doesn't really factor in as much for the decision.
It's kind of interesting, actually. My girlfriend Hannah, now that she's in medical school, they required her to make all of her social media private, and all of that stuff cannot be accessible to patients, essentially.
Oh, interesting.
Which kind of makes sense because, if like I could look up my surgeon, let's say, and like 2 weeks ago they have some pictures on Facebook of them getting like wasted.
Yeah, like the night before you're supposed to get surgery.
Yeah,
got surgery tomorrow. Party time. Get the nerves out.
Have you ever heard that stand-up joke about the teachers showing videos in class?
No, I don't think so.
I think it's John Mulaney that tells it, but it's like basically the premise is that he goes out with one of his friends who is a teacher, and he says she's just drinking like it's the end of the world, and he's like, "Don't you have to teach like class tomorrow?" And she's like, "I'll show a movie."
I know I have seen that.
It's
actually,
like, is that why teachers show movies? I really like John
Mulaney.
Oh, he's great. But anyways, no, I've heard that, speaking of social media and being in the medical community, I've heard that doctors have their own kind of secret Instagram.
Not that I know of, but...
Or that you're not allowed to tell us.
There's a secret doctor Instagram. You guys didn't hear any of that, but someone called me and my headphones was just my phone ringer just going boop-a-loop, 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 boop-a-loop.
That happened just now?
I should have reached out to that person. I needed to do that. But,
well,
I'll do that here in a second. But anyway, I got a random medical-related question while on the topic of medical things. How likely is it that you wake up from anesthesia?
If you have a good anesthesiologist, you won't.
Because let me tell you, I don't know how you recuperate from waking up mid-surgery.
I've seen it happen.
Oh, what? That's got to be terrifying.
With a mouse.
Oh, okay, well, I mean, still.
They just have little gas masks so you keep them out, and the PI I was working with, he wasn't paying attention, and it came out, and the
just took off running.
His head, he was in no position to take off running. His head bolted up for a second, and I was freaking out. I was like, put the freaking mask back on! And he put the mask back on and he was back out.
Just so that our listeners don't think you're like a serial killer or something, why did you have a mouse under anesthesia?
That's true. The way...
basically I was just cutting their balls off.
That's just your hobby. Your free time hobby.
I worked in a research lab, and that's one of the things I did.
Nice.
Riveting stuff there.
So I did see it happen.
I'm pretty sure my mom has told me before about a time where she was at like the dentist and she wasn't fully under, but she was under enough that she like couldn't tell them that she wasn't fully under. And that sounds terrifying to me.
Oh, where you're like in a half coma, like you're conscious, but you're not?
Yeah.
Now I'm just scaring myself. Why'd I even bring that up?
When I had my
Are you going to be...
teeth out...
Whoop.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm not going under the knife anytime soon.
Oh, okay.
I hope.
When I had my wisdom teeth out, I remember that I had my EKG. I was watching it, and the nurse kept missing my vein. She missed 3 or 4 times in a row. And I was just watching my heart rate slowly speed up as she's missing over and over again. And then she finally hit it, and I was immediately out. I don't remember anything after the second she inserted it. It's crazy.
It makes me so uncomfortable. I could just close my eyes. I could see it.
I've only had to be knocked out once, and it was actually for a colonoscopy, which is super fun. But
that's right. You've already had one. You probably had a couple of those.
Yeah, that's
one.
What's
or
that?
A couple. That's probably too private of a question.
I have had a couple, which for my age is like unheard of. But
hey, Crohn's disease is a bitch. We're out here raising Crohn's disease awareness. Don't eat a bunch of candy? What? I feel like you just didn't woke up with it one day. If I remember, I don't remember the story correctly at all. But.
They don't really know what causes it, but they say like stress can attribute to it, and like your genetic disposition and all sorts of things like that. So basically, yeah, I just woke up with it one day, and it was not fun.
You shared a confined space with Caleb for too long. That's really what did it to you.
Well, he chose the top bunk. Like, heat rises, so he should just have known that.
Oh.
No, but anyways, I got knocked out for a colonoscopy. That's like the only time I've ever been knocked out. And it was hilarious because she started doing whatever and was like, all right, count down from 10. And I was like, 10, just out immediately. It was the most bizarre thing.
It's weird that we can do that.
I know.
Put people down.
So freaky.
Let her down gently. We'll bring her back. We'll bring her back in an hour and a half.
It is pretty crazy though that it just shuts your brain down. Like,
and you don't die, and you don't have any like brain damage.
That's
your brain.
You can.
Like when they were
stay under too long.
When they were trying to figure that out though, like they had to have accidentally killed and or damaged some people, right?
Well, they probably started with animals.
They definitely killed some animals.
Well, that's unfortunate.
I mean, back in the day, it was like, all right, drink this rum. And then,
bite on this stick.
Just cut you up a little bit. Yeah. So I'm glad. I am glad we have anesthesia.
Yeah. Cheers to modern medicine. Hear, hear.
Okay.
Hey, Jesus didn't get vaccinated, Trevor. That's what I learned from the internet today.
Wow, Paul, you were on some far reaches of the internet.
Reddit, man, real far reaches. That's what they tell me. But what else you got, Trevor, in that big old brain of yours?
Speaking of the far reaches of the internet, I read something recently that I don't remember if it's like a specific state is trying to get a law passed or if it's like some committee or something, but they're trying to make it so like your social media and like other experiences like that online, they want to make it so that they can't create an experience that is like infinite, whereas like on Instagram or Twitter or Reddit, you can just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling and it never will stop you. They think that's sort of provoking addiction, so they want to get rid of that.
Yeah, was it with actually? So the quarter show we watched, a thing it did at the end of the show, he would say, and the next episode is playing, and then he would do the countdown that was going on your screen. So at the end of the first show, he'd say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it would just start the next episode.
Dude, and not even there's not even 8 seconds in between. There's the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then it does the dum. So you get like 8 seconds maybe of like a break in between it, and that makes sense. I mean, I could see why. I don't know how they would do it. Like how you would limit that. That seems really weird. Like just thinking of it'd have to be like a new platform, I feel like. But like how you would go in and like limit those, like how much you can scroll. But in reality, I feel like the social media companies are doing a good enough job making it impossible to look at stuff anyway, because you see the same people and the algorithm thinks you want this and you only see those tweets or those posts. Like I do miss old social media where it was like, here's a post, this person posted it, scroll up, you scroll and it's there, it's all there.
Okay, I've got a bone to pick, actually.
We're YouTube. Going to Ben's bone.
If I look up a YouTube video, I want my suggestions to be relevant to the video I just watched. That's it.
Bold stance by Ben Colvin.
I'm sick of the, like you have watched this many of whatever thing. So now that's just going to be the suggested video all over your freaking YouTube.
You know what's weird to me is it seems like any YouTube video that I watch, one of the top 5 suggested things is some SNL skit. And I'm like, I don't even like SNL that much. Why do you keep recommending these videos to me every time I watch something?
You clicked on it once and NBC pays for it to show up. That's what I would say.
There you go.
Definitely YouTube tries to like push you in the direction of content that is like very easy to watch a ton of.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, they want you to stay on the site and
Yeah.
they want you to navigate within their site and not go through Google your YouTube videos, even though now it doesn't matter between the two.
And
really,
these are
but-
those addiction features that I was talking about.
because that is a big problem with YouTube is that the autoplay function, like parents would park their kids in front of YouTube, and just leave. And I'm talking about very young children, and they would just be guided through the internet by YouTube's autoplay, which is horrifying.
Yeah, you never know where you're going to end up with that.
Yeah, and I mean that was like a major problem. That was it like those unboxing videos or
Loot boxes.
no, it's like little children love watching things get unwrapped and like revealed.
Yeah, it's like toy unboxing videos, like Lego unboxing videos, like that stuff's all the rage
that kind of stuff
with the kids.
And then algorithms would like try to figure out the YouTube algorithm so that they would get picked for the child that doesn't have free will. So it's just auto playing to whatever is next. It was like really messed up and got really weird.
That was that crazy monster thing with the like bugged out eyes that was like going around for a little bit, right? That's how that got to be.
The Momo challenge.
Yes, I couldn't remember the name of it. That is what it is.
Yeah, because I mean that's the thing, man. You remember how impressionable you were on the internet. Back when all we had to deal with was MySpace bulletins that said a killer clown was coming to get you. Because back in that day, or back when we were like in that really, really impressionable phase of like, because we had the internet, but like, dude, YouTube videos still used to take hours to fully load for like some stuff. But now you're right. I mean, that it is crazy. It is always constant, and I feel like there's definitely a lot of flaws in that. But I feel like also we take it too. I don't know. We take it too seriously, but we also like put too much of the blame of like the lack of attention or focus on. People spend too much time on their phones and they're distracted from where they're at, which is true. But it's also just like, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like that's just a bad excuse for like the way things change. I'm just thinking of some sports analogies. People are like, well, don't have baseball fans sitting in those seats, because when they're going to be on their phone when they can get hit with a baseball, because they're talking about extending the netting in Major League Baseball down all of the foul lines. Because people are getting hit in the head with 100-mile-an-hour foul balls.
Wow.
And like same thing, like a college football coach was like, why do you think less people are paying attention to the game at the game, or why do you think less people are going to games and you can't stay focused on a football game? And he blames phones, and it's just like, while there's definitely something there, let's also take into consideration in the baseball analogy that 100-mile-an-hour line drive off the bat, doesn't matter if cell phone or not, if you're not ready for that, like no one who's not a professional Major League Baseball player is, you're going to get whacked. And same with football, it's like, well, no, it costs $1 bajillion to go to an event like that. And, football games, like, dude, do you remember how long an OU football game was? You guys remember how long those games averaged? An OU football game averages 3.5 hours because that's how long at least we would blot out for time for on the station, and that was just the plan, like to just make sure that's blocked out. But dude, on those Tuesday night games when we'd be on ESPN, those games would take forever, media timeouts, all that stuff.
Yeah.
How would you not look at your phone? Like,
but I do think like
there needs to be a better balance though, because we
well,
definitely are too.
Like technology is changing so much. I do think there's a lot of responsibility of like policymakers to adapt to the times and not just act like what just happened with Capital One, where like was it 100 million people's personal information got hacked. Like you can't just sit around and be like, well, it's technology. There needs to be some kind of approach or some kind of way of addressing these new problems that are popping up. And, that comes to social media, all of these different things. You can't just sit around and say, like, they'll just totally work themselves out. Like, that's kind of the responsibility of, local government or, federal government or whatever, is to also come in and say, these are the rules that you have to play by as well.
And there's so much severity that's in those cases where it is kind of just like, oh, we got to let them decide. But everyone wants to blame because they found the hacker. Did you know that for Capital One? They traced it back. Like it's one girl who hacked and she like posted about it and stuff. And like people are obviously mad about the hacker, but it's like, no. Be mad at Capital One that they didn't take it serious enough that millions of account information, and social security numbers were taken. Like, be mad at these companies that don't take shit seriously. Like, be mad at Facebook and Twitter for their shitty rules and
it's like if
political discourse. Whatever way you lean, it's just like be mad at there's no rules that actually do limit these people who have created things that you can't say that these aren't huge influencers in life anymore. Facebook and social media and stuff like that. I mean, it's ingrained in so many, not just facets of social life, but business and, like so much stuff now. And it's like, it does seem like it is kind of the Wild West and like these people can just, it's their stuff. Let them make the rules. But it's like, it's not just their stuff anymore with how influential they are in the world today.
I think if a company goes so far, there has to be some line where if you violate the public's trust to some extent, that company just ceases to exist. Like, they're done. They can't continue to exist. But there just aren't laws in place to basically say, like, you can't do this. Like, if this happens, you're done. It's over. Because we just haven't had those situations come up when it comes to something like Capital One or something like that where, I mean, that's just crazy. 100 million people's personal information is just hacked and gone,
Well, and it doesn't matter like what they, what they're going to say or what they're going to do. It's like, even that, since that hacker left a paper trail, like that shit, if she did that, then it's over. Like, that shit is out there. Like, if they really wanted it to be out there, it's like, it already is. And it's like, and, Capital One will just, oh, we're sorry that all this happened and we're going to beef up our cybersecurity efforts and you can be assured that you can trust us. Like, I'm a Capital One customer and, like, I haven't used my Capital One card, but I have one. It's like, that's fucked up. Like, it's just, for lack of a better terms, I mean, it is really, it is a lot of bullshit how much they don't, I don't know, how much they really don't, it is a bit, the internet is kind of the wild, wild west in some laws, and there's a lot of stuff that just runs frame. But I don't know if you could just be like, here's a rule, if you violate this, like, you just can't exist anymore. But there needs to be an actual punishment that will impact those major companies. Because, like, Facebook got fined $1 bajillion or something not too long ago, right? But, like, in reality, like, Facebook makes that in 2 days. Like,
yeah.
Well, I mean, and even, like, with Purdue Pharma, that makes OxyContin, that's the opioid crisis. There's a huge lawsuit, and at the end of that, they paid 2 weeks worth of profits. That was their fine. And I mean, it was a tremendous amount of money, but it's 2 weeks worth of profits.
That should be like, you are fined this amount for years, like years and years. Like,
and
you
they're
have
still
to
selling that drug.
Yeah, and that's crazy. Like, especially, and that's a good point. And it's like, we know, like, if you've been in the Midwest in the past 8 years, like, especially, like, how bad that shit is over there. Like, how bad that's,
which I should say, it does have practical uses for something like surgery. So I shouldn't say like it should, but like the way it's being used is.
But then you get those, and maybe but you get those areas where they've been overprescribed. It's like it's a town of 300,000 and they've had 8 million pills sold at pharmacies in like 2 years. You're like,
that doesn't add up.
What? That doesn't add up. Like, how is that not a red flag? But I don't know. But man, we took on a serious topic today, guys. Look at us.
Man.
Geopolitical. We got to bring LeVar in for the philosophy of it all.
That's right.
Our resident guest expert.
We got to see him. He's up in Chicago now. He moved up here.
That's awesome.
All right, Ben. We're getting towards the tail end of the show. You wanted to close it out.
Right. Well, Paul and I, Tuesday night, went to a very, very nice restaurant.
Mm-hmm.
And we got some very, very nice food. So I just wanted to hear from
everybody. The
Loyalist, yeah. What is the best meal you've ever had?
Ooh.
Oh, shit.
So wait a second. Is this the
Okay,
place?
well, there's
where,
a lot of layers to this.
I would
Sorry,
say
Trevor.
at a restaurant.
Is this at Ian's restaurant? Is that what you're asking?
I was gonna say, is this the
entire life
restaurant where
experience.
we talked about that people go and get super fucked up and throw up, even though it's really fancy?
Yes, but that's Smith upstairs, and that's. But actually, Ian said that was just across the board of his fine dining experience. So I don't know if it specifically is there. But
that's not a staple of that restaurant.
So basically, it's two restaurants in one. There's like a more traditional, still expensive, but actually on Tuesdays they have a burger they're famous for. You can get a burger, shot, and beer for $16, which is actually like when you really think about it, a pretty good deal. So that restaurant has like a small menu of like entrees, appetizers. Your more traditional like restaurant style. Sit down, waiter comes, takes your order, blah blah blah. But then the upstairs, Smith, that's where you do the course stuff. That's where you pay the big bucks.
The cheapest is $95.
Yeah, $95 for. I think it's like 7 courses. I can't remember, but no, it was super cool actually when we were at that restaurant. Ian's introduced us to a couple of his coworkers and friends, and we got hooked up with some food, some gifts from the kitchen, and we thought they came from Ian. Because obviously Ian in the kitchen works back there, gifts from the kitchen. And then when I talked to Ian later that night, he said, "Oh no, they didn't tell me that." Because I told him we had a we were waiting for a table, but I didn't tell him that we had sat down yet, and because I kind of figured that he might have assumed. But anyway. Ian said he was going to give us more food, but all of Ian's friends hooked us up at the Loyalist there. They gave us this. Cheese cracker thing, which was super good. I didn't look at
Parmesan biscuit.
A Parmesan biscuit, a deviled egg with some salmon eggs on it.
Salmon eggs and aioli.
Wow,
a little aioli, and then
sounds amazing.
Fennel donuts.
We had fennel and what was it? Turmeric, lemon glazed fennel turmeric donuts.
I
didn't like the glaze. Didn't like the glaze too much, but the donuts themselves were good. But I think if it was like a strawberry glaze or something like that, I think it would have been. Or if you put those little fudge.
So
you know what I'm saying,
Ben, to answer your question, are you talking about fanciest dinner that we've had that we've paid for ourselves, or just fanciest dinner that we've gotten to be a part of?
Like the dinner that you walked away from, where you just thought it doesn't have to be dinner, meal that you walked away from where you thought that could be, or that was the best food I've ever had, or the best experience I've ever had eating.
It wouldn't still be it today because I can't think of a more specific example. But the thing that comes to mind when you say that was my first times going to Benihana, because in reality, it would, like, especially when I was younger, like Benihana, I know it's nice, but it's not the nicest, and it's a chain in it. But you still go to Benihana, get nice food, and you pay a little bit more, and and then you also, of course, have the experience. What were you saying, Trevor?
Is that where they cook like on the table and stuff?
Yeah, it's a hibachi restaurant where they cook in front of you and stuff like that. And so, like if you're gonna get like a surf and turf, like I like to get there, it's like steak and shrimp and some sides. I mean, it's gonna cost you $25, $30. So it's gonna be something like that. But I'll never forget like tasting like that really good, because it was like corn, but the corn was super buttery and salty and really good. And I was like, oh my God, how does corn taste like that? And the rice like had the fried rice, like actually, they put in like chopped stuff. And like, I just remember like tasting all of the different pieces, and it's like, it was that first experience of food like melting in your mouth, and you're just like, oh my God. And it was just like, I got to pace myself, but I can't. I just want to eat. Just like, I want to eat. And, but it's kind of been nice because now I think I'm still waiting to have that real experience, because I was such a picky eater for so long that I turned away from so much food that I think I'm still waiting to have that best meal experience. But when I think of something that like of meals that impacted me, it was always Benihana, because it was like the nicer stuff. The experience of obviously them cooking in front of you. It was always like a big event too when we'd go. So it was always like something important going on. And like, I still think it's delicious to this day, obviously.
So I actually had one of those like 5-course meals.
Sorry to interrupt you, but I also will give a shout out to the meal that Ian did prepare for me in Nashville. I should probably shout out that because that was actually he picked the courses for me out of this and I ate food that I never in a million years would eat. But sorry, Ben.
Dude.
Well, so I had one of those like giant 5-course meals. It's at a restaurant in Athens called Nine Tables.
Oh, was it good? I was always curious about Nine Tables.
So it was for my friend's 16th birthday. He asked his parents to take his group of friends. I was one of his friends.
Woo.
Out to Nine Tables just for dinner. That was like all he wanted for his birthday. And I didn't realize that it was like a fancy restaurant at all. I just thought, oh, we're going to like this place. And I ate all the food, and I thought it was okay. Honestly, though, I didn't know that it was supposed to be this amazing thing, and it was kind of nice. Like, you had all these courses, and things tasted really good, but I wasn't blown away.
Interesting.
So I just thought that was kind of an interesting nugget that I didn't realize until later that how much the food cost.
Right.
Because I was just kind of along for the ride.
And Nine Tables is interesting because it's just a house, and like before Eclipse was out there, it was just this house on the plains, like in that little area before the Eclipse was over there. I actually met the owner when I was doing a remote. He wanted me to. I almost went over there and ate one time, but it was out of my
almost.
Yeah, it's very expensive.
So I was like, but he was like, I'll hook you up, and I was like, that's actually a really good deal for probably the food you're offering. But I was just like, nah.
I did have some really like $30 or $40 salmon when I was like 13. I didn't like seafood before that, and after eating that salmon, I just like it opened my mind to seafood. So that's probably like one of those meals that like changed how I ate, if that makes sense. So I probably put that as my number one.
So that reminds me, actually, the meal I was kind of thinking of, probably just, I don't know if it was the most expensive meal or like the craziest experience I've ever had, but it's one that's just stuck with me. And that was my junior year of college. I had the opportunity to go study abroad in Barcelona. And in Barcelona, I think it was like one of the first nights that we were there, we had like a big fancy multi-course dinner with all the Spanish students, kind of like a meet and greet thing. And the main course that I got was this like salmon fillet that was like, literally it had been caught like in, is Barcelona on the Mediterranean Sea? I think it's the Mediterranean Sea. But like this salmon had been caught like that morning and then was now on my plate that evening. And it was like the best seafood I've ever had in my life. And I was just like, I was in a different country by myself, which I had never done before. And I was eating this like crazy meal and drinking this amazing wine that had been like made within like 20 miles of the city because they have all those vineyards that are nearby. And I was just like, this is the height of my dining experiences at this point.
Dude, it demonstrates the power of food, and especially a good meal. And I wonder, it would be interesting to pose that question to like Ian, because I'm curious to see what like his answer. Because it's interesting with his perspective on food. It's like I feel like meals are something he'll be more likely to remember, even if it was like a mediocre meal. He'll know that this restaurant did this thing, and like, yeah, I wanted to go and try this, which be interesting. But well. We're getting a little interference here from the neighbors, so with it being the time, we're gonna get ready to wrap it up here, just so we don't get hear a bunch of horns honking and whatever they're getting into. But go out and eat something.
Can't they see that your recording sign is on, Paul?
I need one on the inside and outside now. But I think the moral of that that topic: go out and eat something that you're not used to. Maybe go out and if you've been curious about a restaurant, you should go out and try it, because I think going out and trying something new to eat is like one of the cool experiences. It's been one of my favorite things in Chicago, to go and try new places to eat with unique things that you might not eat, or really cool spins on what you like to eat already. But on behalf of the rest of the Chat Pack boys, Trevor?
Yep.
Ben?
Yep.
Thank you all for joining us here for another great episode of the Chat Pack Podcast.
Follow
keep
us
your eyes peeled for that
all the
Twitch
stuff
as well, because I might. Well, by the time this airs, it'll already be past the weekend. But you never know. You never know what I'm thinking in my brain.
That's why you just got to follow us and believe.
Yep. And check out the podcast on all your favorite podcasting services. Check out Twitter, Chatpack Live, twitch.tv/chat_pack. All right, y'all. We'll be back with you next week.